Hey, how y'all doing out there? Just want to come back with another video. This time I want to talk about the classic. To some people, Samsung's best phone they ever made, which I don't agree with that, but it's definitely an all-time classic. We're talking about the Note 4. Now, this phone came out in 2014. I still have this phone. I do still love this phone because it was just so well ahead of its time when it came out. This phone, I just loved it. It still has a awesome display. It gets pretty bright, a Super AMOLED display, 5.7-inch screen. I mean, the colors are beautiful. They pop. Of course, it has a older 805 Snapdragon processor, which processors get better and better every year, and they get faster. But I mean, if speed is not the main issue for you, then this phone will be fine. Um, it comes with a 3250 milliamp battery, which you can remove by the way. This was the last Note that you were allowed to actually change out the battery. And that's very unfortunate for a lot of people because that's the one thing they loved about this phone. Of course, you still have the almighty S Pen. Um, and this phone has older software. Now, this one, the last update it got was Marshmallow. Unfortunately, when Marshmallow came on this phone, it really destroyed the battery on this phone because when I first got my Note 4 and I was using it, I'm serious, I was getting 2 days of battery use out of this phone. Like it barely ate any battery at all. Literally. I mean, then as soon as the Marshmallow update came out, it just killed the battery because the Lollipop was what was on this phone prior to the Marshmallow, and Lollipop was fine. I didn't have an issue with it. But of course, everything has to update over time, and you get different features and stuff on Android and security patches and all that. So initially, I was excited for the update, but I should have probably waited until I started hearing about other people how they were like constantly complaining how the phone got even more laggy and the battery was just draining so fast. And there's no lie, that battery just was so horrible. It drained so quickly. Like there was times when I tested it, I took it off the charger, I was on my way to work, didn't use the phone, didn't turn the screen on. By the time I left my house, and it only takes me about 20 minutes to get to work, I was down to 90%. And I hadn't even used the phone. So that was just terrible. That ruined the Note 4, in my opinion, just ruined it. Everything else are pretty much like, of course, it was a little laggy here and there, but not to the point where it really bothered me as much. But overall, it was just to me like the classic Note, and it was a great phone until the update. Also, you could expand the storage on here, which was good. I think only up to 128 at that particular time. It came with 32 gigs of onboard storage on it. It had a IR blaster, which was the last thing. Also, Samsung. One of the other things Samsung took off the Note series was the IR blaster, which I still to this day don't understand why they took it off and why they won't put it back on, because it was a great feature to have where you can control your TV, your air conditioning, anything with infrared. It was just a nice thing to have on your phone. No matter how much you used it or not, it was just good to have it there. Also, unfortunately, you had the speaker on the back, which was horrible placement for Samsung. I don't know why they put this speaker on the back. With the Note 3, they had the speaker at the bottom of the phone, which was a really good place to have it. But unfortunately, they put the speaker on the back, which made absolutely no sense to me. And it was okay. At the time, it was your average sounding speaker. It was okay, just average at best. So this phone, I still love it to this day. Now with the fingerprint scanner, with the Note 5, you could just put your finger over the button and the screen will pop on. But with this one, you had to swipe. That was annoying because it wasn't as accurate as it could have been or should have been. Also, I'll say now the bezels on this phone to me were not that big. I mean, they're tolerable. I mean, compared to newer phones like the Note 8, the bezel's so much thinner. But I don't know. these bezels really never offended me. Like they weren't really that thick. Now, the Nexus 6P had humongous bezels, like way bigger than the Note. So those bezels on the Nexus 6P was just a little too big. The size of these really didn't bother me because they weren't that intrusive to me. They just weren't. And the screen, of course, went all the way down to almost where the fingerprint scanner is at, and then it went up. The bezel went up here almost to the Samsung logo. So I didn't have a problem with the bezels, and the phone has a nice little leather back, well, a leather feel to it, which felt nice to me. The phone was, easy to hold, had chamfered edges, steel around the stainless steel around the sides of it. It was a very well built, sturdy phone. Also, the screen. Now, let me tell you about the screen. I can't remember what Gorilla Glass was on the screen right now off the top of my head, but I'm telling you right now, I've had this phone for 5 years, and I don't have not one scratch on this display. Not one. And I have newer phones that I got scratches on the screen. And this phone has been in my pocket with keys and different things. Not one scratch, not one blemish whatsoever. So this phone was built really well. Of course, it doesn't have wireless charging either. But you can get an actual wireless charging back and give yourself wireless charging if you so do, choose to do that, which is something I did. It charges super slow, but I mean, if you just needed wireless charging that bad, they did have a back plate that you could order and you could put it on the back of the phone and get wireless charging. Also, it has fast charging 2.0, which, fully charge your phone in about an hour and 40 minutes, which still wasn't bad. I mean, it still had fast charging. This phone was just so well ahead of its time. Like the stuff that it could do compared to other phones of that era, it was just tremendous. And it was the king until Marshmallow destroyed the battery. So now I keep it because I still love this phone. I use it for media consumption still, and every now and a blue moon I might put my SIM in there just for old time's sake. But the processor is so old and it's kind of slow and laggy, so it's kind of hard to be able to use it for more than one day, to be totally honest with you. But this phone is still going strong after all of these years, and I just not too long put a brand new battery in there that's working pretty well. I mean, I could literally get 7.5 hours of screen on time, like just constant playing videos. 7.5 to 8 hours of on screen time, literally, and I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. Like I said, the screen is still gorgeous. It's not as fast as the newer phones, which you have to expect because it has an older processor, but it's still a real usable phone for those people that's not so, into the newer software, the newer phones and all that. I know there's probably still a lot of people out there that have the Note 4 and still love it to this day. But am I going to say this Note 4 is better than the Note 9? No way. No, not at all. The Note 9 is the best Note they ever made, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what the Note 10 is going to be like, but I'm just saying the Note 9 is the boss of all phones, in my opinion only. That phone is awesome, and I love it. Now, I've had the Note 3, the Note 4, the Note 5, the Note 7, the Note 8, and now I have the Note 9. I've had pretty much all of them except the Note 1 and Note 2. So this phone is still a good phone for a backup phone, emergency phone. But everyday usage, I don't know about all that because, like I said, it's kind of slow. Camera's still okay. They're fairly decent. They were excellent for that time. But the cameras are still fairly decent. You have the you had the one camera on the front and the one on the back, and they weren't bad at all, so. But, that's my take on the Note 4. I still love this phone. It's a classic, and I won't ever get rid of this phone. It really has to completely die on me. And but I still love this phone to this day. So that's my take on the Note 4. You guys be blessed. Peace.